Hi, I'm STARBORN. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not worry about the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is The Final Word. And that is because there are two very strong planets that are closely conjuncting each other, and they do have something to do with communication. Because Pluto, that planet of deep truth and psychological transformation and change, which also represents people in high places in large corporations or government agencies, is at 20 degrees of Capricorn, and Mercury, the planet of communication and of the mind, is at 21 degrees of Capricorn. And Saturn is also in the sign, and it's the ruler of the sign. So this is a time when someone in a very high position, perhaps in management in a large corporation or government agency, or perhaps even somebody who is a head of state, can issue a final word on something or can make a very significant announcement. And that announcement or final word would not be questioned by anyone, because it is based on proof, or based on facts and details and results. So I think that there is going to be a unified acceptance of the final word, because it's going to come from a pretty high organization or from people who are highly respected. So that's all to the good. And so the question is, what will the effect be of that final word when it comes down? And it should be coming pretty soon. Well, since Saturn is in the sign of Capricorn and it's the ruler there, it simply means that the final word will be taken very seriously. And there won't be a bunch of commotion about it. It will be accepted. And then today, the moon is exalted in Taurus, and it is trining the three planets in Capricorn. And so the final word, or some very significant announcement, could have a very beneficial effect on your job and everyone else's, or on investments, or certainly business matters. So in other words, it can have an effect that would increase values, which would be good for all of us. And then Neptune in Pisces, which is at home in the sign it rules, is sextiling the planets in Capricorn, and it is trining Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio. Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, and those two planets are also sextiling Capricorn. So since the water signs are trining each other, it simply means that some sort of revelation about hidden activities behind the scenes, which is what Pisces rules, that revelation can certainly promote the idea that justice must be done. And certainly, since Mars and Jupiter, two wonderful planets, are both in the sign of justice, Scorpio, it could reinforce the need for justice to be done. So that can be all to the good, because the planets in the water signs are supporting the three planets in Capricorn as well. So they're all very harmonious. But Uranus in Aries is squaring the three planets in Capricorn. And so that simply means, since Uranus is a volatile, unstable planet, it simply means that a final word right now could provoke a revolt, or a new beginning, or some sort of sudden, surprising upset in one way or another. So we do have to watch out for that as well. And then the second question that we need to ask ourselves is, if there is a wonderful acceptance of a final word when it comes down, will the response to it be as unified as the acceptance is? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. In fact, that's where the trouble is really centered, not in the final word, or the problem that it is defining, or the situation that it is clarifying, but in people's response to that. And the reason why is that right now there are 5 planets all harshly squaring and opposing each other in the fixed signs, and fixed signs don't budge. And so now the Sun and Venus, the planet of love and partnership and peace, are in Aquarius, a fixed air sign. In fact, the sun is at 5 degrees and Venus is at 9 degrees. They're conjuncting each other. That's nice. But they are also squaring that exalted moon in Taurus. And when the sun and the moon square or oppose each other, that is a sign of indecision or confusion. And on top of that, Venus is in Aquarius and it is squaring the sign it rules, Taurus. And so there can be some people who are sort of up in the air thinking about the future, which is what Aquarius rules, but they can be a little indefinite when it comes to paying for their plans. And so that's why there can be confusion or indecision. But at the same time, that exalted moon in Taurus is opposing Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio, and these are the two fixed financial signs. And so there can be a problem with money in one way or another, particularly the idea of financing something. Those plans could be a little up in the air because at the same time, Venus and the Sun are squaring Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio. So those are the 5 planets that really are not getting along right now, and because fixed signs don't budge, it simply means that some people can be up in the air and be very excited about the future, but not too definite about their realistic plans, particularly not if they're affordable. Other people can be confused or undecided about something, and then still others can be adamant about the idea that justice has to be done first in order to restore trust before financial decisions can be made. And so I guarantee you that after the final word is issued, even though it's very clear and can be accepted by everyone, there's not going to be any argument about it, the difference of opinions will come about because there can be some sort of fight about the future, and particularly about financial quandaries that people can find themselves in, because everyone wants to cling to their own viewpoint and not consider anyone else's. Oh, that can result in a mess. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, for Aries, what it means for you is that I have a feeling that you are not going to be too happy with the final word when it finally gets here. And that can be because the 3 planets in Capricorn do square Uranus in your own sun sign. And so there could be some sort of an upset, but also it could mean that something very definite has to be recognized or accepted or established. And it might cramp your style a little bit because it would require you to conform to the dictates of other people. Because one reason the final word is coming down is because it can be that somebody or even an organization has gone too far, or they have gone too far out on a limb. Perhaps they have not followed the regular norms or protocols that are well established, and for that reason, things have got to be centered again, or justice has to be done. So if you are a person that's sort of been doing your own thing and not quite the way it's supposed to be done, then that's why you wouldn't like the final word. You would have to conform a little bit. But I don't see you having any other choice, since there aren't any other planets in fire signs. So I hope that you sort of go along with something right now and do not get caught up in the fierce fights that will be coming from other people who are thinking a little bit more about money than a real solution to something. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a wonderful time for you because the moon is exalted in your sign, and it is being trined by Pluto and Mercury, which are conjunct, and also by Saturn in Capricorn. And that simply means that the final word may have something to do with your long-term security, and that could be, remember I said it would be good for investments and it would be good for business, so you might be rather pleased with some sort of announcement that's coming. And also it could mean that there could be an opportunity for you to expand in your career. And that is because of some sort of reorganization or some sort of adherence more to rules and regulations that have to be followed in order to ensure success. You would agree with that, Taurus. So this is a time when you can get real businesslike, but it could do you a lot of good. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time that I think that you are going to be somewhat excited by the fact that there are finally some planets in air signs, because now the Sun is conjuncting Venus in Aquarius, and they are both trining your sun sign, and they're trining the sign of Libra as well. And so that simply means that people who are a little bit ahead of their time, or who could be a little bit eccentric or unusual or inventive, they could be excited about fresh ideas for the future that they have. And if you're around them and you're listening, it could get you excited too, Gemini. And also because Venus is trining your sun, it simply means that you could be very popular. In fact, your love life could certainly improve, Gemini. So that's wonderful, because when the final word comes out, will be taken seriously and be accepted, but there can be people around who insist on making sure that justice is done first to restore trust, and there can be people that are fighting more or less based on their own financial viewpoints, so they're not agreeing. And I think you ought to skip all that, Gemini, and just concentrate on the future. And you know, if everything isn't set in stone, that's okay, because creative ideas can come about and then they can change and turn in another direction, but it does all mean forward growth. And that is certainly what can be exciting you, the future, instead of clinging to the past. So I think you're ready for that. All right, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I don't think that you're going to be too happy about the final word either. And that is because you may not have any say in it. In other words, you could react to it, but I think that you are going to be in the group that is suggesting that justice has to be done. In other words, the final word is going to be a serious one. It will be accepted by everybody because it can certainly be backed up, or it's coming from very prestigious people or an organization that everyone respects. But at the same time, the 3 planets in Capricorn are opposing your sun sign, Cancer, and also Uranus in Aries is still squaring your sun sign. So there can be something in the final word that can throw you off balance a little bit. It might have something to do with a business decision. It might have something to do with an insistence that justice be done first before any solution, particularly a financial solution, can be resolved. The reason why you might go along with that is because Neptune in Pisces, which can reveal hidden things behind the scenes, is trining your sun, and Jupiter and Mars in Scorpio, which does rule justice. So I think that you're going to be rather practical and think, okay, if the final word is outlining something that really is describing a way to sort of get back to normal, then you are going to, and it involves that justice be done, I think you're going to endorse that. But it is an extra step and a lot of trouble, but it may have to be done in order to restore trust. Besides, Cancer, nobody can succeed if they don't trust who they're doing business with. And so that's pretty important, and I think it would be important to you as well. So you may not exactly like what the final word is all about, but I think that you are going to be very supportive of it. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when I think that you are going to have to be really, really careful, because you know, Leo, you could run into roadblocks right now. And on next week's show, we're going to be talking about a lunar eclipse, which is a full moon in your sign. But the problems will exist, the same problems that are existing now. Yours is a fixed sign. And so all 5 planets in the fixed signs are all squaring and opposing your sun sign, Leo. That's what I mean by, oh, I think you're going to run into a little bit of trouble this week. And that is because the Sun and Venus in Aquarius are opposing your sun, which means somebody else wants to go on their way. Maybe they want to be free to do their thing. Maybe they are not wanting to be under your control anymore, and they want to be innovative and face the future a little bit more. So that could be a problem for you. And also the exalted moon in Taurus is squaring your sun, which means something is just too expensive right now. And that could be because prices are going up. And it could also mean that if you're contemplating a move, it is going to cost more than you think. So you need to keep saving money. And then Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio are also squaring your sun. So these 5 planets in fixed signs indicate people who are willing to lock horns. They're willing to argue. I don't think anybody's going to win an argument, but since yours is a fixed sign as well, I urge you not to get in one this week, Leo. If you can't get what you want, be real quiet and just look somewhere else for it, rather than get locked into some sort of argument about things. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, the 3 planets in Capricorn all trine your sun, and so does the exalted moon in Taurus. The final word is because a powerful planet, Pluto, is conjuncting Mercury, a planet of communication, and Mercury is your own ruler, Virgo. So this is an important time for you, when certainly the final word will mean that your investments or your long-term security can be looking up. They can be looking really good. And also whatever the final word is outlining or clarifying or describing could be a problem that needs a solution, and you are a very good problem solver, Virgo. So my suggestion to you is to really think about solutions right now and be very, very practical, which your sign is. All the earth signs are very practical. So this is a wonderful time for you, Virgo, because your assistance or your problem-solving abilities will be called upon, and that's why I think if you could get a little head start on that and just be thinking about the details of something and how things could be modified in order to bring about a good solution, then I think that people will see that you're being very thoughtful, and you certainly could benefit by the final word for a long time to come. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, I think that you are going to be a little bit uncomfortable, just like Aries and Cancer, with the final word, and that's because the 3 planets in Capricorn are all squaring your sun sign. So it's lucky for you, Libra, that the Sun and Venus today are in Aquarius, and they are conjuncting each other, and they are trining your sun sign. That's wonderful. So rather than you get locked up in some sort of intractable argument, try not to take sides, because there are people that will be fighting about financial matters right now, and others will be fighting about justice and wanting that to be done first. If you stay away from all of that, Libra, then you can concentrate on the future just like Gemini can. And so you really need to be around people who have got fresh ideas, or who are looking to the future, or who are excited about new things right now. And you know, whatever they're talking about, Libra, I hope you keep your ears open, because that could really help you out. There's also the possibility you could be very popular, particularly with new people. So I hope you get out and socialize. All right, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, Mars and Jupiter are in your sun sign, and they're being trined beautifully by Neptune in Pisces, and that simply means that there can be some sort of revelation about hidden activities behind the scenes, and that could promote the idea that justice has to be done, and that is what your sign rules. Your sign is also, though, a fixed financial sign. And so even though you may agree that justice must be done first in order to restore trust in a certain matter, because some people have gone too far, or they have gone too far out on a limb and are not following adequate protocols or norms right now, well, that probably does need fixing. So you could be instrumental in seeing that that's done. But since yours is a fixed financial sign, that exalted moon in Taurus is opposing your sun sign, which means there may be something around that matter that has to do with high-priced real estate that could be a little bit iffy right now because you would not be sure if you can afford it, and I don't think you quite can. And then Venus and the Sun in Aquarius, which rules the future, are squaring Mars and Jupiter in your sign. When Venus and Mars square each other, it simply means that men and women are not seeing eye to eye. And so you could be involved in some sort of argument or controversy with other people right now. And no matter how adamant you are about your point of view, which could certainly be valid, other people think their viewpoints are just as valid. So nobody's going to win in a fight right now. And yet I don't think compromise is exactly on the horizon either. So be careful what conversations you get into, Scorpio, because if they involve arguments, nobody's going to win them. Instead, you would just tire yourself out. So I hope that you just step back right now and wait it out. See what happens. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, there aren't any planets in your sign, and Uranus in Aries is trining your sign, but it is certainly being so challenged right now, it can't be much help to you. However, there are 3 wonderful planets in Capricorn right ahead of your sun sign. And so what I think it means, Sagittarius, is that you are very close to someone or to an organization or a group that will issue a final word soon. Your sign rules the courts. It also rules higher education, and it rules long-distance travel and foreign countries and large international organizations. And it rules religion and philosophy and legal scholars as well. So you are naturally drawn to those topics. And those topics that you have a lot of interest in can somehow be involved in a final word, because these good planets in Capricorn are right ahead of your sun sign. And so I think that instead, Sagittarius, this would be a good time for you to be a good listener instead of contributing your point of view. And that is because the final word won't be questioned, it will be accepted. And instead of getting in arguments, try not to make yourself a target this week. And the reason why is that Mars is in Scorpio right behind your sun sign. And there could be a few people around that might be not really friends, and they could want to do a little backstabbing. And that's what I mean by, try to quiet down and stay in the background this week, Sagittarius. That way, if you're not a target, you're not asking for trouble. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when you, in one way or another, are either involved in issuing a final word, or you can be the recipient of a final word, and that could have something to do with a business decision or with an investment, and the news would be rather good right now and taken quite seriously. So Capricorn, I think some of your plans, or at least one a plan that's very dear to your heart, is going to go through, and all you need to wait on is the final word, and it will be coming soon. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, it's wonderful finally that there is some planets in air signs. There haven't been for a while, but Venus and the Sun are both conjuncting in your sign, which can certainly make you very popular and certainly in the mood for love and an increased social life. So that's wonderful. But yours is also a fixed sign, and the exalted moon is squaring it in Taurus, which means something is a little pricey for you right now, a little too pricey. I don't think you can afford it. And Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio are squaring your sun as well, which means that men and women cannot be getting along, and some financial debt or financial problem that in the area Scorpio rules, which would be credit, debt, taxes, inheritance, insurance, grants, loans, something along that line. It can be contentious, but does have to be solved. So good luck on that. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, once again, there are no planets in any of the mutable signs squaring or opposing your sun sign, which is wonderful for you, Pisces, because that means that you're going to be able to be very effective right now, because Jupiter and Mars in Scorpio are trining your sun where you have Neptune. You can be instrumental in revealing hidden activities behind the scenes, and that may bring about a need for justice and fairness to be done, but you would sort of be on the right side of that, Pisces, which is good. So if you need to insist that trust be reestablished by having justice done, I would say you're on the right track, Pisces, so that would be all right. But also at the same time, the 3 planets in Capricorn, which can be describing an organization or a person of high quality that is giving out a final word or a special announcement, I think that's really going to help you, Pisces, because it can be something that you can look upon so favorably that it can really help you get ahead in one way or another. And there should be some more money coming your way, or better living conditions as well. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show anytime by subscribing to it on our website, starborninstitute.org, and you can hear the podcast there as well. Bye.